edition of Upfront, a monthly program produced by New Hanover County Schools. I'm Ann David. Each month here on Upfront with the Superintendent, Dr. Tim Markley joins me to talk about district-wide issues, accomplishments, and programs, as well as to answer questions from parents and viewers. This month will feature our annual Enrollment Options Show. Our special guest will be Dr. Rick Holliday, Deputy Superintendent. He will go over the different options for students and parents that they have to choose from when they get enrolled this year. But first, Dr. Markley joins me to get started with a few questions. Welcome, Dr. Markley.
And good to be back.
It seems like the year's going so fast. We're starting the second half now.
We are already starting planning for next year. We're in our budget process. We're in our enrollment process. Obviously, we're here today. Redistricting will play into that.
Absolutely. Well, all those are questions that are in the wheelhouse today. The one that we get the most of is the hurricane repair. Is everything pretty much back on schedule? Everything repaired and folks back where they used to be?
With the exception of College Park, which is sharing space with Castle Hayne and Holly Shelter, all of our other schools are pretty much back up to where they were. There's still some work being done. We're still calculating the cost and filing insurance claims and dealing with FEMA. And hopefully we'll move College Park into their new school over spring break.
Do you have any update on students and families as far as how they are they back in the groove? Has everyone recovered for the most part? Or?
Most of our families are back in, and recovery is going to be a slow process. We look at our McKinney-Vento numbers, which is how we track homeless, and we've shot up over 1,000, and a lot of those are hurricane-related issues in terms of getting back into houses. I've still had interactions with families who haven't gotten back into their homes yet, so it's getting better, but just because the weather's sunny and it may be a little warmer, there's still a lot of families who are dealing with this.
Oh, wonderful. Is there anything that the school system or that parents can do to help others in their schools?
We've got a lot of donations in. We've distributed those out. Fast NC, which is a group put together by former state superintendents, has grants that we've applied for and received to help with those families. So I really want to thank all of those groups out there who have contributed and helped.
That's wonderful. It's good to know that we all get together and help each other when we have times like these. Now to the questions I'm sure that have been going through the school board. Redistricting is always an issue and lots of parent questions about redistricting. Can you kind of go over the changes that have just occurred from the board meeting and kind of explain to parents how things will go as the season draws?
Redistricting is primary, middle, and high school right now. They approved the high school lines, which we've worked on for well over a year now. You can go onto our website and see the specifics of that. But they're designed to take some of the pressure off, example, Laney, which was at 2,300, use some of the capacity we had at other schools to make some adjustments. But I would definitely go on to our website and check out those new maps. Dr. Holliday will probably talk about the notification process of that, but it's coming out fairly quickly. Students are going to begin registering for new classes here in February and March, and we'll move forward. Big changes. Landfall typically was a Laney district, has moved to New Hanover. There are some changes with downtown schools in terms of Hoggard, so make sure you check those out carefully. At the middle school level, pretty much got postponed except for one small move between Murray and Myrtle Grove that affects about 45 students.
Okay. Do you foresee further middle school redistricting coming? Or?
I would anticipate that the board will continue to discuss this. When you turn over 4 brand new members, it sort of slows the process down a little bit sometimes.
Absolutely, for them to catch up to speed on how things go. Do you foresee elementary redistricting anytime in the future, or is that?
Well, we've got our last bond project is kicking off here fairly soon, and that is Wrightsville Beach Elementary School. So they're going to move to Blair Elementary, which will be opened at spring break of this year, so we can start that process. Once we've completed all the elementary construction, then we're definitely going to have to look at our elementary lines.
And that's one of the next questions. Everyone wants to know how the bond projects are going. They tend to see what's in their neighborhood, but they know that schools are being redone across our county. Kind of give us an update on what students are still where and what schools are open and ready to go.
All right, we are coming up to the end of our bond cycle, and you co-chaired that, and again, thank you for doing that. But Blair and College Park were two schools that were being replaced. So we've torn those down. They are almost done. We anticipate opening both of those schools over spring break and move the College Park folks back in a little early, get the Wrightsville Beach kids into Blair so we can then do that last bond project, which is renovations at Wrightsville Beach. Our middle schools are also going through renovations. If you've been to Rolling Grice, they've got that two-story classroom wing which has been closed, and we've been using mobile units temporarily while we redo that. We're going to move over to Noble, begin renovations there. We're doing renovations at Myrtle Grove. Then we've got Trask online for renovations as well. So those will be over the next 12 to 18 months, is knocking out those middle school projects. And then it'll be time to have a conversation with our county commissioners about another another county bond. We're also looking at the potential of a state bond, so we can leverage some extra dollars there as well. So we're finishing up this cycle, but there's still a lot more to do going forward.
Absolutely, and I know that the high schools, they're all done, right? Laney and Hoggard and New Hanover.
Yes.
So they're all finished and rolling. I know there was going to be some renovation to the Rock Church, but the hurricane, did that delay that, or?
Well, the hurricane was interesting because the College Park was up at the Rock Church, and we were going to go in this summer and start doing renovations there. But when we relocated them, we actually got a head start on some of those renovations. So CTEC will actually move to the Rock Church next year, which will allow us to expand that program.
Well, that's wonderful. And we learned about CTEC our last episode, so that's excellent. Well, we've wrapped up a few of our questions now, so we're going to go to break. Don't go away, because when we return, we'll be joined by Deputy Superintendent Dr. Rick Holliday. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Your School News, covering news that matters for parents, guardians, and greater New Hanover County. Featuring emerging trends in learning.
Organizing a classroom into workstations is fast becoming one of the newest methods in teaching.
Topical education issues from across the county.
You're going to see a priority on a lot of the issues that were a priority for Hanover County are a priority statewide.
And news on K-12 education issues affecting our community and state.
The thing that I'm trying to stress as I go across the state is we need to give schools flexibility. Flexibility to innovate, like right here in this traditional public school, this magnet school.
Your School News brings viewers more than 8 hours of school news and information so you know what's happening in the district, what students are learning, how the school system operates, and beyond. Your School News, only on this channel.
Welcome back to Upfront with the Superintendent. New Hanover County Schools works hard to give parents and students a number of options to choose from when enrolling in school. These options aren't just for pre-K and kindergarten age group, but they go all the way through our high schools. To tell us about all the different options and how to find out even more and apply, Dr. Rick Holliday, Deputy Superintendent, is joining us today. Welcome, Dr. Holliday.
Good to be here, Ann. Good to be here.
There are so many options to choose from.
It's a menu of options, really. I mean, our school board over the years has developed a number of different options that parents can choose for the different types of schools that they want to go to. So really and truly, New Hanover County Schools is a very strong, choice-rich environment.
Well, let's start with the youngest and then work our way on up. So what's available for the youngest?
Well, always for every age group there's the assigned school, because you do get to go to your assigned school, the school that you're districted to, which many of our students and parents choose. But we have two year-round schools, Eaton and Coddington, that have no district, that you apply depending upon whether you live in the northern or the southern end of the county. If you live in the northern end of the county, you can apply to Eaton. If you live in the southern end of the county, you can apply to Coddington. Those are elementary options. We also have magnet schools that are elementary schools. We have the International School at Gregory, which is very popular, Spanish immersion program there, which is growing. We have the School of Engineering over at Rachel Freeman, and we have the School of Arts over at Snipes. So those are all real viable options if you're an elementary school parent.
Now, are Snipes and Freeman still year-round?
They are year-round schools, they are. Whereas Eaton and Coddington don't really have a district you have to apply into. There are small districts that surround Freeman and Snipes, but you can apply into those schools. They are year-round, as well as is Sunset Park, a year-round school as well.
Because that's an even different option.
But Sunset Park has its own district, but you could apply into it if there's space available under the next option, which is open choice. And you can apply for any school that you want under the open choice options if there's space available at that school. And that is only during the enrollment season. That is not during any other time of year. You can also apply for a hardship transfer. The guidelines are listed on our website. And also some things that are listed that are not hardships, that people will say this is a hardship and it's really not a hardship as far as our board goes. So we try to be very flexible, but you can apply for a hardship at any point in time during the year when that hardship occurs.
How do you know if they have space? Do parents just apply and then they see if they have space, or is there a list?
They do. They apply and then space is determined, and that would fluctuate. There are certain schools that are not going to have any space because they're already overcrowded. But there are certain schools that may be right on the line, and it may be a particular grade level that you're looking for, and they have space in that particular grade level, but they wouldn't have space in another grade level.
Oh, okay.
So it all depends on all those different factors, and they change daily, as you can well see.
Absolutely. Before we move on, how is the pre-K situation now? What are the options there?
Yeah, my office does not handle the pre-K enrollment. That is handled through the pre-K office, Shannon Smiles, who coordinates that for the school district. And if you contact Shannon, she'll be more than happy to let you know about that.
Okay, that's excellent. That's good to know.
But there are two pre-K centers, Howe and Johnson, that are full pre-K centers. And then there are pre-K classrooms located in some of our elementary schools around the county. So there are plenty of options for pre-K here in our school district as well.
Okay, that's excellent. That's good to know for parents that have got the little ones starting out. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No.
So we have the year-round and all the options for elementary. Are there any options for middle school?
Middle school is probably looking at the number of different specialty kinds of schools. There aren't any specialty middle schools other than the international school at Gregory. That is through grade 8. So you can apply as a middle schooler to continue your language program through 8th grade at the international school. You still have open choice at the middle schools if you want to apply for empty spaces at the different middle schools. You can do that.
Okay, that's excellent. Now with the high schools, that's where the choice goes. Wow, we have so many options at the high school.
I am really excited about high school. One of the things, as an old high school guy, spent most of my career in high school before coming to administration, and looking at the changes that we've made in high school to really try to change the American high school. And I think North Carolina has taken the lead in that, and we in New Hanover County have done a tremendous job, I believe, for the past 14 years or so, looking at changes in high schools. We have 4 very good comprehensive high schools, large comprehensive high schools that offer a variety of programs and full athletics, full arts. I think we do arts as well as anyone, and we have those options for our parents. We also have specialty high schools that I think really break the mold. I mean, going back to Isaac Bear Early College High School, which was our first early college high school with UNCW. That's application only, and that process is continuing as we go. You have to apply, and you have to go in the 9th grade there. You can't go in as a 10th grader or 11th grader. You have to go in as a cohort. The same with Wilmington Early College, which we've always had a really good working relationship with Cape Fear. Community College, which we partner with them. That is on the campus of the North Campus of Cape Fear. Yes. And that program has been in existence for some time. The really cool thing, I think, about Cape Fear and the WEX partnership, Wilmington Early College partnership, is that when you go to WEX graduation and you see all those students graduating wearing the blue gowns, their colors, WEX colors are purple and gold, but if you have your associate's degree, which you earn, you actually go to graduation a couple of weeks before your high school graduation,
Right.
you've already earned your associate's degree before you get your high school degree, which I think is one of the coolest things I've ever seen, to see all those kids walking with those blue gowns on at their high school graduation, already having graduated from college, basically, which just is amazing to me. And I think it gives us pause as to what we're doing in the K-16 model. And you have to take that K-16 model and look at what goes on after high school and add that, instead of K-12, K-16, because there are a lot of things we can do both at the secondary level and at the initial levels of college, both at the 4-year schools and at the 2-year schools, to look at what are we doing that's redundant. Absolutely. Because there's much of what is being done at the high school level is redundant once you get to the college level. Those entry level courses, those 100 level courses in many of our colleges are simply repeats of high school courses. So why don't we slide that in? Our European counterparts, it takes 3 years to get a bachelor's degree in European countries. What's magical about 4 years? I mean, we ought to be looking at how we get our students what they need as soon as we can without sacrificing their educations. And I think the early college model is as good a model as any in trying to condense that.
Well, an add to that is, I believe that the president of the community college and the chancellor of UNCW are working to tighten those pathways so that the students even have a smoother transition from finishing those classes early to going on into college and getting everything done to save them money and time, because money is a key to them finishing their education.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the options that we offer at the community college as well really help that as well.
I
with
mean,
students.
when I was going to school, you could basically graduate from college debt free. For the most part. I mean, if you went to a state supported school. One of the problems today is many of our students are finishing college and are saddled with great debt for many years after they graduate. So it kind of negates a little bit of their what kind of jobs they could get at post-graduation, because they're having to pay huge debt. And condensing that and getting as much college as they can before they get to college certainly helps with that.
Absolutely. Well, let's finish up a few, I guess, housekeeping things with Open Choice. What is the timeline for Open Choice?
Well, our enrollment season will begin in March, and we conclude sometime around late April. We always say around tax time. So that's when you have to get your applications in. Mm-hmm. And we will be getting the letters out, whether you're accepted or denied. And then during that enrollment season period, if you're denied, you can appeal, and we would set those appeals up, and those are usually in late June with the board.
Okay. Now, with that process, what if you have multiple children, siblings? How does that work?
Well, if you get into certain schools and under Open Choice or any of the variety of options, sibling privilege puts you up on the list. It doesn't guarantee you getting into the school, but it is close to a guarantee as we can get you, because we try to keep families together if we can. So there is a sibling privilege. But that sibling privilege goes away once that child leaves school. In other words, like if you have a child at, let's say that's at Coddington, and it's a 5th grader this year, and you've got another 4-year-old at home that next year is going to be in kindergarten, you're not going to be able to claim sibling privilege because that 5th grader is going to be going on to middle school.
Absolutely. So they need to be in the same school.
Yeah, but if they were in the 4th grade, that's a different story, because then you'd have those two children and that sibling privilege would kick in.
Absolutely. So do they include that on an application? Is that considered a hardship, or?
Yeah, that's considered as sibling privilege, and that, again, that's going to bump you to the top of the list to get in. We try, like I said, we try to keep the families together.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything, we're getting ready to wrap up, anything else you feel like we need to add? Or
there is so much, but we don't have nearly enough time. We just to let everyone know that the student assignment notices will be going home in early March. And that's the time that parents will be able to begin to apply for their choice options, and we will be processing those applications through tax day. and a little after that. And then after that, we'll be letting people know whether or not they get their choice or not, and then how to appeal.
Is it more or less a rolling admit, so the earlier the better to get your application in, or?
The applications, as long as you get your applications in the specified amount of time that's going to be listed on our website, you're going to be okay. We don't take the applications as first come, first served. The applications are all treated the same. Gotcha. And how we select them is a random selection. We use a computer program called the randomizer. We put every application gets a number, and that's how they're selected. So we don't go through the applications and say, I'd rather have this one than
no
this
first
one.
come, first serve
No,
kind of thing.
everybody's equal when they get in into the lottery.
Well, that's excellent. I think this has been all great information, and just like you said, there's so much to cover. We could actually do 2 shows. But I appreciate you joining us today, and hopefully this gave parents some insight on their options for enrollment for this year. Now don't go away. When we return, we've got a few more topics to discuss with Dr. Markley. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Start your day with New Hanover County Schools, the morning show. This Rise and Shine program will put a smile on your face and a spring in your step. Best of all, you'll start the day a little smarter, knowing more about our district leaders and teachers, discovering new frontiers in science and technology, and getting the latest school news from across the district. New Hanover County Schools, the morning show, educating all viewers to achieve today and tomorrow in a global community. Only on this channel.
Welcome back for our final segment here on Upfront with the Superintendent. And Dr. Markley is back to answer just a few more questions and cover a couple of topics before we end today. Welcome back, Dr. Markley. Now, I know it's budget season. Is there anything you'd like to share with the parents about budget? Budget is always kind of a mystery to parents, I think, about how schools are funded and how all that works.
Well, our budget comes really in 3 parts. There's the federal part, typically Title I and some special ed dollars. The state part, which is the majority of our budget, about 60%, and that pays primarily for teachers, instructional needs in that area, and then the local portion. And the local portion is about 30%. So we met with our legislators just a couple of weeks ago at our annual legislative luncheon to talk about priorities. Mental health, nurses, SROs, were part of that. School calendar flexibility was one of our discussions. It's not a budget item, but it is important. And a number of other issues with those legislators. We're just starting to put our budget together, looking at needs and priorities heading into next year. So we're going to sit with our board through February and March. And as I said earlier, we have 4 brand new board members, so it's a bit of an education process for them as well. And I always encourage the public to come to those meetings and learn a little bit about our school budgets.
That's good. And you were mentioning budget and kind of the legislative luncheon. Always the topic when you talk to legislators and just regular citizens is teacher pay. Is that something we can control locally, or is that a state?
The state sets the teacher pay schedule for across the state. Every county can then supplement that, and we supplement ours to just around 8% on top of whatever the state salary scale is. And it's something that we'll look at as we head into this year, is what that supplement looks like.
And how does that, our supplement, how does it match up with the rest of our contemporaries in the state?
Across the state, we're about number 12 on supplement out of 115 districts. In the Southeast, we always have the highest supplement.
Well, that's good to know. So we are trying to do what we can for teachers. We just need to get our state legislators to bump their pay. Now, I know a big topic that has been in the news is the possible transformation of Williston, currently middle school, but formerly Williston High School. Can you kind of give parents where that came from and where it's going?
Well, we've been doing redistricting for a year and a half, and a lot of discussion about our schools and what's happening in those schools. And one idea that came out of that was the idea of transforming Williston back into a high school. One of our board members, Dave Wortman, proposed that. And not a traditional high school, but a specialty school focused on the arts. So we have put together an exploratory committee to look at that. They had their first meeting. The teachers are doing a community forum this week, so we'll go listen to that group. And then we'll just probably take the next year and explore that as a possibility. It is not set in stone. It's still a lot of work and exploration to do and a lot of input to get. So just follow that process, and if you have thoughts, please let us or a board member know what they are.
Yeah, because I know I had heard that some parents whose children are continuing the international program through that middle school are concerned where that will go. And
this shouldn't have an impact on what's happening at the international school. Gregory, our immersion school, that K-8 school, does phenomenal work. They do share resources with Williston, but that won't change no matter what the configuration of the school is.
That's good to know. So just have parents stay aware.
Stay aware.
And either watch on this channel or check out on the website.
Check our website out. We're going to actually launch a brand new website, a refresh on that, hopefully here in the next several months.
Oh, that's good to know. Is there anything else you'd like to add that we maybe didn't cover with the enrollment options or anything going on in the district that you'd like parents to know as we wrap today?
Well, what I would tell parents is there are a lot of options and choices, and you've got to take time to explore those. But I'd also tell you that the schools that your students are assigned to are excellent schools, and that if you have questions, you go visit those schools on kindergarten days or call for a visitation. All of our schools will work with you to see that. And see what's happening in those schools as well as our choice options. We'll do a magnet fair coming up here shortly. We typically do that at the mall for folks to come in and talk to those principals. So make sure you stay tuned for that. We'll do our typical all-call to parents to let them know that's out there. It's just a lot of information. Do your research. And then as a parent, be involved in what's going on in your child's school.
Absolutely. All excellent advice. It's a lot to learn. It's not just as easy as registering your children anymore. But
yeah, sometimes it's educating parents.
The options are amazing to have your child's education start so young, and then so many options once they get to high school. Well, that wraps up this edition of Upfront. If you would like to learn more about enrollment and enrollment options, please visit the school system's website at nhcs.net. The entire enrollment section under the Parent tab. So if you go under the Parent tab and check out Enrollment section, that will get you to that information. On behalf of Dr. Markley and the staff here at NHCS TV, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next month for another edition of Upfront with the Superintendent.